Alright guys, Forsaken just revealed even more for the next update, with a bunch of returning skins, major changes in-game, and unexpected additions. Let's get into it. So, there were once a bunch of slasher skins in-game that a lot of players might remember. These skins were removed from the game during the slasher update, and this mainly came down to copyright concerns. Forsaken didn't want to risk issues with characters that were too similar to existing franchises, so skins like a rival slasher, Manhattan, Leatherface, and even Michael Myers were all taken out. However, one skin that managed to stay was Miguel, and that is because it was more of a parody version rather than a direct reference, which allowed it to avoid those problems. Even though these skins were removed, there's still a huge amount of interest in seeing them return, but this time with redesigns that avoid copyright issues entirely. One of the biggest concepts right now is a reworked version of Leatherface called Pigskin, which is being developed by Gubblegum. This concept takes inspiration from both the original film and Roblox history, specifically referencing the John Roblox character. Because of that, it manages to keep the iconic feel of Leatherface while still being unique enough to fit within Forsaken without any legal concerns. A lot of players are already saying this could easily be added to the game. Then there's also a brand new Arrival Slasher redesign created by Deskiptable, and this one keeps the original idea but updates it in a much more creative way. The design now shows Slasher's bacon hair slightly visible through his hood, and there are multiple changes to the loadout as well. The Necrobloxicon has been replaced with something more similar to a Slenderman style page, while the Area 51 chainsaw is still being used. On top of that, the main weapon is now the camping machete gear, and the body still uses a mix of undercover superhero limbs with the Robloxian 2.0 torso, keeping that classic feel while modernizing it. What's even more interesting is that one of the developers actually showcased this concept recently, which basically confirms that this version is planning to return to the game. So it's clear that the Forsaken team is aware of these redesigns and is open to bringing them back in a new form. As for Michael Myers, that's still something that would need a completely fresh redesign before it could return. But if these concepts do well, we could easily see more of these old skins coming back in the future. Now, something a bit different has been happening recently, and that's skins actually getting swapped between characters. As of now, it has been announced that this will be happening to the Spy 007 and 7 skin. This change caught a lot of people off guard, but we now know that Isaac is planning to move this skin over to 2-time, along with another noob skin that hasn't been revealed yet. And honestly, this change does make some sense. When you actually look at the characters like 2-time, they are a lot more similar to Spy than 007 and 7 is. Even though Spy's main weapon in Team Fortress 2 is a knife, the overall style and playstyle fits 2-time much better. So from a design perspective, this swap actually lines up. However, this is where the controversy comes in. A lot of players are pointing out that there are already multiple medic type skins. Like with this, there's the Dr. Ludwig skin. And then Duseka also has a medic inspired skin as well. So people feel like 2-time is getting too many similar concepts, even though these characters aren't directly related to Spy and have completely different abilities. On top of that, many players just don't like the idea of 7 and 7 losing more skins. Some people have even gone as far as creating their own concept of how Spy could work on 2-time by taking the 7 and 7 design and adapting it, and surprisingly, it actually does look pretty good. Still, not everyone is convinced. A lot of players are saying they don't want to be forced into using 2-time just to play as Spy, and some think it could ruin the skin unless changes are made, like giving the second life a completely different color to make it stand out more, so it's not exactly the same. Interestingly, Executioner was also working on a detective skin for Chance instead, which many people thought really looked good. However, from this, it has led Executioner to give up on this idea. Now that Spy is coming to 2-time instead, so we probably won't see this finished redesign from them. While this does make sense from a design standpoint to base it on what actually works, could there be more swaps for other skins that characters should have? Alongside everything else, there was also a brand new patch update that just dropped. And while it mainly focuses on fixing in-game bugs, it actually included a few unexpected changes as well. With this, the Mystic Slasher achievement has now been changed, with the requirement reduced from 150 kills down to just 75, which makes it way easier for players to unlock. This is a pretty big change, especially for anyone who didn't want to grind that many kills before. On top of that, a bunch of April Fool's skins have actually returned to the shop at a reduced price. These are only available for an extra week, so if you missed out on them the first time, this is basically your last chance to pick them up before they disappear again. Now moving on to some skin changes. There are a couple redesigns and removals happening as well. The Demise Nolly skin has been removed completely and is being reworked into something new. From what we've seen, it looks like it could be turning into a Windows style virus-like concept. At the same time, the recently released Easter Ripper Slasher is also getting a full redesign. This one is expected to be based on the Egg Hunt 2018 Roblox event, so we can see this new redesigned version fairly soon. We also got a really huge addition to the VIP pass. Swap-Saken characters are now playable in private servers, meaning if you missed out on the April Fool's event, you can still experience all of them with your friends. This is a huge addition for VIP players, and it also suggests that these characters probably won't be getting separate skins in the main game, since they're already accessible in this way. They'll likely stay available until the next April Fool's event, so make sure to check them out. Even though this is a patch update, it actually brought a lot more changes than people were expecting, and it's a solid follow-up to the Easter update. Something that a lot of players might have completely forgotten about is the Slasher and Guest 1337 LMS theme. A lot of people thought that this was going to come out during this time, and many people were hyped up about this. However, this ended up never coming out. The main reason for that was because it was believed that there wasn't any real lore connection between Slasher and Guest 1337, so the team decided to not move forward with it. However, things have changed. Voxov has now confirmed that this theme is actually being worked on again, which means after nearly a full year, we could finally see it added into the game. A lot of players are happy about this, especially since LMS themes are something that the community always enjoys. But at the same time, some people are a bit frustrated because they were under the impression that this was completely scrapped, since there wasn't much communication about it, which caused people to feel distrusted from what was earlier said about the LMS theme. Now looking at the theme itself, there are already a few discussions around how it should actually work. One of the main points people are bringing up is the length. Many players don't want the theme to be too long, as they're hoping it stays around the usual 1 minute and 15 seconds. That way, it still fits the pace of the game and doesn't drag out matches where the killer needs to finish quickly, or the survivor needs to survive for that amount of time. The situation has also brought back attention to a character that a lot of people had forgotten about, which is Guest 1458. Some players are now asking whether this character is still planned, especially with all the talk around the Star Glitcher concept. For context, Guest 1458 is tied to the Bacon Empire storyline, where guests were essentially wiped out, and there's supposed to be some deeper connection between Guest 1337 and Slasher involving the whole Star Glitcher idea. Because of this, some players think Guest 1458 would actually make more sense for an LMS theme instead of Slasher, since 1458 fought alongside 1337. But that's where the debate comes in. Others argue that LMS themes usually work better when there's conflict between the characters and not when they're on the same side. So in that case, Slasher and Guest 1337 still make more sense to have this LMS theme. There have been ideas thrown around for how Guest 1458 could still be used, like changing the character entirely or reworking them into something new, such as a different identity or still keeping towards their current design. But as it stands, Slasher and Guest 1337 are still the most logical combination for this theme. It's good to finally see something that was basically forgotten about and is now coming back into development, and hopefully we'll get to see more updates on both the theme and the Star Glitcher concept soon. So Forsaken are still preparing more to come to the game. What could we expect in the next update? Make sure to subscribe and like for more Forsaken gear.